I'm just not sure how we can make... Oh, good morning! I'm just not sure how we could make the iPad mini any better. Just make a Pro version of it. I guess you're right. We could add Apple Pencil Pro support. No, that's not... Okay, yeah, it should have Pro support, but I was more talking about Pro Motion. You know, it really should have Apple Intelligence. That way, AI could be on a more affordable product. Yeah, sure, okay, you can put an M series to chip in there, but it should really have 120... Well, hold your horses there, buddy. Why do you think we need an M chip? Well, the Air has an M chip, and you kind of need Apple Intelligence for an M chip, and... Well, you know we called it the A17 Pro for a reason. Oh god, Tim, what are you cooking? I'm just saying, we could make a non-Pro A17 that, maybe runs Apple Intelligence. It'll have the RAM for it that allows the iPad mini to get Apple Intelligence features without an M chip. Or you could just put an M chip in there. But for the love of God, just put 120 hertz on the little iPad! Oh, Drew, am I sensing that you're a little... jealous? No. Are you concerned about some kind of jelly gate that doesn't exist? I just want promotion. That's all I'm saying. You will never be on Team iPhone. You will never go to an Apple event in person. And you will never be on Team Pixel either. Good morning. So there hasn't been a ton of talk about Apple refreshing the iPad mini, but some people are starting to wonder because iPad mini 6 inventory has been noticeably declining recently. That doesn't necessarily guarantee that there's going to be a refresh, but I'm trying to warn you in today's video that even if there is a new iPad mini 7 that launches at the Glow Time event, that would be cool. That would be kind of a surprise to me, kind of exciting, but I don't expect it to be a massive change that a lot of people are hoping for, because I think a lot of people are mainly just wanting the iPad mini 7 to get a Pro Motion display or Face ID or basically give it more Pro features, because pretty much everybody's been asking for, you know, an 8.3-inch version of the iPad Pro. That just sounds sick. But I think it'll mainly just be Apple keeping it up to date a little bit, just kind of cleaning it up a little bit. Like, it is honestly kind of weird that the Apple Pencil Pro works on the new iPad Pros and the new iPad Airs, but all of a sudden, if you want to use the iPad mini with an Apple Pencil, well, now you got to use the Apple Pencil 2, which came out like 6 years ago now and didn't even get a price reduction or anything like that. So to me, it would make a lot of sense that they would just add Apple Pencil Pro support to the iPad mini just to clean up the iPad lineup a little bit. And of course, I'm sure we're going to be hearing more at the Glow Time event about Apple Intelligence features, which currently aren't capable of running on the iPad mini just because it's too old. At least that's what Apple tells us. I bet they could probably support half of the features they talked about with Apple Intelligence. They just are trying to get people to upgrade, and now would probably be the perfect time, because currently, if you're looking at the new market, the cheapest iPad with Apple Intelligence is still about $600 with the iPad Air, whereas the iPad mini will probably stay around $499. So if they could get Apple Intelligence on there with a new chip on the inside, yeah, that would probably help them move a little bit more inventory. And there was talk in the past of Apple not necessarily changing the refresh rate of the iPad mini, but a lot of the complaints and concerns about Jellygate, which in my opinion, it was not super noticeable. Like, yeah, if I scrolled really hard, I could kind of see like the layering effect of like the text on one side of the screen moving faster than the other, but it definitely was not a deal breaker. I still love the iPad mini, and I still think it's the only iPad that's not really facing an identity crisis. Wish more people bought that thing, but there was talk of them changing the direction of the refresh rate to back the way it was in iPad mini 5 days. So this thing about Jellygate that everybody was complaining about was actually always a thing with any display. It was just usually oriented a different way so that it wasn't as noticeable, because most people are of course scrolling up and down very fast, not side to side. So that same scrolling issue was prevalent on iPads when using them side to side, but most people of course weren't side scrolling that quickly. They were always scrolling up and down. So because of that little switch, that whole Jellygate problem was kind of blown out of proportion, but Apple might change it back to make it less noticeable, but it's going to be hard to tell because of course they're never going to address that during the unveiling. They're not going to come come forward and say, we fixed the refresh rate problem. No, you're not going to know about it until they actually ship it and we do some side-by-side tests or iFixit does a teardown. But I think the more interesting question about the silicon that's going to be powering the iPad mini 7 would be more about, do they just bite the bullet and throw in a whole M2 chip? That would be kind of incredible. A device that small that could technically fit in your pocket uncomfortably is still rocking like the same chip as a MacBook Air or a Pro. What I think is honestly more likely, because they tend to prefer putting the A series of chip in the iPad mini because it's smaller battery, likely less power hungry. There's less people, editing 8K videos in LumaFusion or on Final Cut with that iPad, but whatever chip they're shipping in the regular iPhone 16, probably going to be called the A18 chip, should be capable of running Apple Intelligence features. So I think it's more likely they'll ship it with that. The same chip as the iPhone 16, probably with 8 gigs of RAM, just so all of those intelligence features work, and that way they could give it some of the latest stuff without completely cannibalizing, iPad Air and Pro sales. I wouldn't be shocked if they're like, oh, by the way, Final Cut for iPad, that doesn't work on the A18 chip. You still need an M chip for that. I don't think that's really true. It's probably the whole Stage Manager thing all over again, where they're like, no, you need the latest one, but then a few months go by and they're like, oh, wait, actually, I guess we could add it to older iPads. Is that what you wanted? So I'd be really impressed if they put an M chip in the iPad mini. I'd also really prefer it and hope that they up the storage a little bit. 64 gigs in 2024 going into 2025 is going to be kind of insulting. So that's, I think, overall what to expect if the iPad mini 7 is getting refreshed at this September event. Keep in mind, the last iPad mini was also refreshed at an iPhone event. So I guess it's not confirmed per se, but kind of lines up with something Apple would do. Just expect very little changes to the cameras. It's mainly Apple Pencil Pro support, maybe a tweak to the direction of the refresh rate, and of course a newer chip so that it runs Apple Intelligence features. Are you guys still pumped for a minor update like that, where it's just kind of making the iPad more up to date with the rest of the lineup? Or are you like me and you were really hoping that they would add a Pro Motion display or make it more Pro by making it thinner, just like the new iPad Pros got thinner, or even adding something like OLED to it? That would be sweet, but it's not supposed to happen. All your wishes and hopes and dreams that are gonna die, feel free to comment them down below, and thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. It seriously helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you all in the next one.